After 8 years of silence, a father discovers his daughter's incredible voice with her nanny. John sat in his small, cluttered living room, the weight of years pressing down on his shoulders. The stale air felt heavy, thick with regret. Outside, laughter echoed from the backyard barbecues in the neighborhood. Other fathers tossed steaks on the grill, their kids squealing in delight. He stayed inside, silenced by his pride, the echo of his daughter Mia's laughter a distant memory. 8 long years had passed since the divorce, and the very thought of reaching out felt like trying to grab a cloud. He couldn't shake the feeling of being lost in the sprawling suburban maze of Franklin, where once vibrant factories now stood dormant, ghosts of a better time. Mia was 14 now, a whirlwind of hormones and independence. He could only see her from afar, a brilliant light now hidden behind the shadows of her mother's overworked life. Though they lived just a few miles apart, their paths felt galaxies away. She was no longer the little girl who used to run to him with open arms. Now, the distance between them was palpable. "I heard Mia sing with Rosa the other day," a neighbor had said casually. Those words struck John like a bolt of lightning, igniting a flicker of hope in his weary heart. Amelia had a voice? His daughter, the one he had lost touch with, had a gift? The thought made his heart race. Should he go to the talent show? His mind swirled with anxiety. What if she hated him? What if she didn't want him there? But lingering in his chest was the longing to connect, to hear her sing, to step into a space that felt familiar yet entirely beyond his reach. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The night of the talent show arrived like a storm cloud, dark and heavy with anticipation. John stood in the back of the auditorium, his heart thumping wildly. The noise of the crowd swelled into a tidal wave of sound, but all he could hear was the echo of his thoughts. He scanned the room, desperate to catch a glimpse of Mia. And there she was, shy and nervous, standing beside Rosa. A shock of dread washed over him when he saw the stage lights cast down, highlighting her like a beacon. As Mia stepped forward, the music began. A haunting melody danced through the air, and she opened her mouth. John felt his chest tighten as her voice flowed like honey, smooth and reverberating with a depth he'd never known. Tears welled in his eyes as he listened to the pain and beauty woven into each note, a testament to the years lost. But what came next shattered his heart and put it back together all at once. Their eyes met, and in that fleeting moment, a bond woven through time and longing sparked alive again. Would she step toward him, arms outstretched, like the little girl he remembered? Or would she turn away, the years of silence sealing their hearts in an unbearable prison? The stage might be empty soon, but the air was thick with a mixture of hope and fear, leaving John's heart racing, teetering on the edge of an uncertain but powerful connection. Mia's song floated through the auditorium, wrapping around John like a warm embrace. The audience swayed, enraptured by her voice, their collective breaths held in a taut string of silence. But all John could feel was the familiar tug of his daughter's energy, a memory of a time when she was his entire world. If only he could reach her now, break through the walls of time built in their 8 years apart. Yet, the moment stretched. Mia's gaze flickered across the crowd, landing on him. For a heartbeat, it felt like the world paused. Hope filled the space where fear had once crescendoed. Her eyes searched his, searching for a lifeline. Would she find him? Would she acknowledge that he was still here, still her father despite everything? As she sang the final notes, the audience erupted into applause. But John only felt the dizzying chaos of his own racing heart. He had to move, had to bridge the chasm made by silence and time. In that instant, something primal stirred within him. He knew he couldn't leave this moment without trying. Without taking one step forward, he rose from his seat, the world around him blurring. John stumbled toward the stage, his feet moving almost as if they had a mind of their own. The audience's chatter faded into the background, their applause a mere echo. Mia stepped back, a nervous smile breaking across her face, uncertainty hiding behind those bright eyes. "Mia," he croaked, his voice catching. She froze, the exhilaration of her performance succumbing to shock. 1,000 emotions flitted across her face, surprise, confusion, maybe even a hint of anger. But in the depths of it all, he caught a spark of recognition, a flicker of longing that mirrored his own. "Dad?" The word came out as a whisper, barely audible above the crowd's noise. It was as if that single breath had shattered years of silence. "Yeah, it's me. I'm here." His throat tightened, emotions wrestling within him. "I'm so proud of you, Mia. Your voice, it's beautiful." Mia's expression shifted, a mixture of a smile and tears threatening to spill. Was it joy? Was it anger? All John could do was stand there, the remnants of their old bond hanging thinly between them. Then the applause faded, replaced by the sounds of laughter and conversation swirling around them. But they stood in their own world, the moment electrified with the possibility of reconnection. "Mia, I want to come back. I want to know you again." He took a hesitant step forward, desperate to close the distance. Would she let him? Could they find their way back to something that resembled a father-daughter relationship? "To know me?" she asked quietly, eyes reflecting the stage's fading lights. "Do you even know who I am anymore?" John stepped back, the breath hitching in his throat. Her question sliced through him, carrying the weight of every missed birthday, every empty space at dinner. "Please give me a chance," he pleaded, his heart laid bare, each brittle emotion exposed. "I want to understand." Mia glanced away, searching the crowd as if for an answer. John could see the gears turning, the struggle within her. Would she walk back into this fractured relationship, and if so, what would it look like? As the final applause thundered around them, John's heart hung in uncertainty. All he could do was wait, holding his breath, praying that their story wasn't over yet. But just as Mia began to respond, an unexpected figure stepped onto the stage, darkening their moment. "Mia," the voice cut through like glass, "we need to go." The words hung in the air, heavy with implications. John felt dread clutch at him. Would he lose his chance? Mia's eyes darted between him and the figure, torn in a battle that felt all too familiar. Could he break through the darkness that was creeping back in, or was this another ending before it could even begin? The question loomed as the cacophony of the audience faded away, leaving only their fraught silence. What would she choose now? Mia hesitated, caught in the tug-of-war between her father's hopeful gaze and the urgency radiating from the figure on stage. The man beside her had always been there, seemed like a constant in her chaotic world. The warmth of the spotlight began to fade, replaced by a chill crawling up her spine. "Who is that?" John asked, his voice trembling as he pointed toward the figure. The man was tall, sharply dressed, with an air of authority that instantly put John on edge. "That's Kevin," she replied softly, the name feeling distant as it left her lips. He's been helping me. He works with my music." John searched her face, looking for a clue, a crack in her armor to understand why she was looking at him like this was all a dream. "Helping you? Mia, you've been looking out for yourself all these years. You don't need someone like him." "Don't say that." Mia's voice rose, filled with a blend of frustration and fierce loyalty. "He's been here for me. Is that what you really want?" John pressed, desperation clawing at him. The last thing he wanted was to be the man who tore his daughter from the people she felt safe around. "I don't know what I want," she shouted, finally letting her emotions spill over. "You left, Dad. You don't get to just come back and pretend everything is okay." Each word hit John like a punch to the gut. He could see the hurt swirling in her eyes, a mirror reflecting his own guilt and regret. The silence wrapped around them, and he fought to compose himself. The weight of 8 years loomed over them like a storm cloud. "Mia, I know I messed up. I wish I could change what happened," he said, his voice breaking. "But I'm here now. You're my daughter, and I want to be part of your life again. Please." But the moment broke as Kevin stepped between them, a guardian. "Mia, we need to go," he insisted, almost too firmly. Mia turned to him, her face betraying the turmoil within. "Just a second, please." Kevin's jaw tightened, but he held still, perhaps recognizing the fracture forming right before him. John used that moment to step closer. "Mia, I'll always be here. No matter what happens," he said, trying to anchor her in this fragile connection. Tears brimming, Mia glanced back and forth, her heart pounding. "Do you mean it?" The vulnerability in her eyes felt like a knife twisting in John's heart. "More than anything," he replied, wishing he could alleviate the decades of pain that had accumulated between them, but Mia shook her head. "I've built my life here, Dad." She gestured toward Kevin, who stood with a taut posture, ready to guide her away. "What if you just leave again? What if you disappear for another 8 years? The question hung heavy in the air, and John's chest felt tight. He wanted to promise her the moon, he wanted to say everything was going to be okay. But how could he guarantee that? His own fears echoed back at him. "Just give me a chance please," he urged again, feeling the urgency grow. "Let me show you I'm different this time." Mia's expression softened, battling against the weight of Kevin's presence. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, her expression hardened again. The moment shattered as she took a step back, her voice trembling, "I can't just jump back in like it's simple." John nodded, understanding flooding through him. "I know it won't be easy. But I believe we can make it work. I'll wait." The room felt unbearable thick, all eyes now glued to them as the audience's whispers began to rise once more, distracting from their crux of the moment. "Mia." Kevin's voice cut in, harsh and impatient. "It's time." Mia looked at him, conflicted. "What do I do?" John's heart raced. Here it was, the crossroads of their story hanging on the edge. Would she choose him, her father, or retreat to the comfort of the life she built, even if it meant leaving him behind again? And just as she began to make a decision, a loud clap of thunder resonated from outside the auditorium, echoing the storm brewing within. Everyone turned their heads, distracted momentarily. John took a leap, heart in his throat. "Mia, I want to stop trying. Please just remember, I love you." The crowd seemed to blur into background noise, and Mia stood still, her world suspended at this impossible juncture. What would she choose? Would she step back toward him or retreat to the figure looming beside her, a haunting piece of her new life? The silence stretched again thick, daunting, waiting for her answer. Mia's heart pounded like a drum, every beat echoing the panic and pain swirling within her. The loud bang of thunder outside gave life to the chaos in her mind. The crowd, once absorbed in the performance, now seemed like a blurred mural of faces anxiously waiting for her next move. John's desperate plea hung in the air, wrapping around her like a lifeline, yet it felt too far away. She cast another glance at Kevin, whose expression had morphed from impatience to stern worry. The weight of it pressed down on her chest, suffocating and bewildering. "Mia, we really have to go," Kevin said again, his voice lowering to a gentle urgency. But it felt like a chain compelling her toward an unknown fate. "Please." John's voice cracked, a raw edge bleeding through his otherwise calm facade. "Just think about it, just for a moment. Let me prove that I can be here for you. I can be the father you need." The words cascaded over her, seeking fractures in her carefully built defenses. Mia felt torn between the years of hope she had locked into her music and the undeniable history with her father, one that made her heart throb with both love and anger. Do you really expect things to just change? She finally found her voice, steady yet tinged with disbelief. It was a question aimed as much at Kevin as it was at John. Do you think it's that simple? Kevin's eyes darkened, there was frustration there but also something softer. He stepped closer, his voice just above a whisper. Mia, I know this is overwhelming, but with your music moving forward, we don't have the time for drama. Remember what we talked about? This opportunity is huge. Her breath caught, the weight of expectation heavier than before. But what if I'm not ready? She shot back, fear bubbling just under her skin. John looked like he had been physically struck, his expression shifting from determination to despair. What if, Mia? He echoed back, his own heart laid bare. What if you're ready to let the past go? What if today is the day everything changes for you? A tumultuous wave of emotion crashed through her. All those years of wondering, dreaming of moments like these were right in front of her, yet they felt so fragile, like glass ready to shatter at a mere breath. In that moment, Mia felt an echo of a truth rising from deep inside her. Could she really allow herself the vulnerability? The notion of stepping toward John filled her with a longing both familiar and foreign. Would he really stay this time? Mia, Kevin pressed, his voice coaxing but insistent. We have to perform next. This could launch your career. The thought sent a ripple of anxiety through her. She had spent so long preparing for this moment. Her music was her refuge, her strength. Yet the roots of her past beckoned from behind John's earnest gaze, and she struggled under the burden of choice, and then, in the swirl of indecision, Mia thought back to the small moments. The laughter with John during their late-night talks, the familiar sound of his clumsy guitar playing, and the way he once made her feel invincible. They felt like echoes from a different life, but could they belong in hers again? The auditorium filled with a sudden cheer as the spotlight shifted, catching her thoughts off guard. This was her moment, yet she stood frozen, tethered to the past while desperately reaching toward the future. I can't keep juggling this, she murmured, only half aware she had spoken aloud. Mia. It's time, please. Kevin urged, the impatience starting to fray his edges. She closed her eyes, the noise of the world fading as she tried to center herself amid the chaos. Her pulse throbbed in her ears, quickening her need for a decision. When she opened them again, a loud voice emerged from the back of the crowd. We're waiting for you, Mia. You've got this. Someone shouted, the excitement palpable. A spark lit within her. Suddenly, a sense of clarity emerged through the fog. But just as it did, she caught sight of her father again, eyes wide with hope. Whatever choice I make, I won't forget you, she blurted out, her voice trembling but resolute. Mia turned back toward Kevin, ready for whatever came next, but was grounded in the understanding of what was truly at stake. As she stepped forward, the energy crackled in the air, and with every nervous breath, she felt the weight of possibility spark inside her. What awaited her on the stage was uncertain. Would it be the launching pad for her dreams, or would it create a deeper divide between her and her father? The moment felt electric, like the calm before a storm, swirling in shadows and light, waiting to explode. Would she embrace this new path and risk everything? With that thought swirling in her mind, she took her first step into the light, a foot planted in the unknown, the other still in love, family, and heartache. The audience was no longer a sea of faces, now it felt like a collective heartbeat poised to either lift her skyward or send her crashing down. As she moved closer to the stage, she couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. Mia stepped out from behind the curtain, the bright lights immediately flooding her senses. A wave of sound crashed over her, the energy of the audience pushing against her like a gentle tide. For a split second, she forgot about everything else, the weight of the past, the fear of the unknown. Her heart still raced, but this time it was different. There was a thrill, a rush that coursed through her veins. She could hear the whispers, the murmurs of excitement, she could feel the anticipation hanging in the air. It wrapped around her like a warm blanket, soothing yet electrifying. She took a deep breath, glancing back at John one last time. Hope danced in his eyes, a stark contrast to the uncertainty that tangled in her chest. Would her music finally be the bridge between them, or would it only serve to highlight the chasms that still divided them? Turning her focus forward, she locked eyes with Kevin, whose expression was equal parts determination and fear. This was their moment, her moment, and it mattered deeply. She felt a sudden spark of resolve. With each step she took, she felt the weight of her past lift just a little. It hadn't disappeared, but she was ready to confront it. This stage, this spotlight, it was hers to claim. And claim it she would. As she settled in front of the microphone, her fingers grazed the cool metal. Silence hung around her, thick and expectant. The chatter of the crowd faded into a collective breath held tight, waiting for her to begin. Mia closed her eyes, letting the music play in her mind like an old friend. The first notes came softly but grew in volume, reverberating through her body, filling her with a sense of power she hadn't felt in years. The chords soared, her voice silky and strong as it filled the space with raw emotion. Each note spilled out effortlessly, intertwining joy, heartache, longing, all the feelings she had tucked away. She felt John's gaze on her, an anchor and a mirror, reflecting both the past and the hope for the future. As she sang, she caught glimpses of the audience, a guy with tears in his eyes, a woman nodding along, and a child mesmerized, hanging on to every word. They felt her, pulsing with her, caught up in her journey. It was a symphony of connection. Mia let the passion wash over her, it was a cleansing fire. As she reached the climax of the song, she opened her eyes. They were no longer cast in uncertainty. She felt powerful and seen. And then, amidst the crescendo, her gaze found John again. This time, instead of desperation, she saw pride radiating from his expression. It ignited something deep within her. At that moment, she realized this wasn't just about her music or healing old wounds, it was about building something new. When she reached the final refrain, she poured every ounce of emotion into it. For the first time in forever, the past felt lighter. As the last note lingered in the air, she stood still, letting the applause wash over her like rain on a hot day. The cheers enveloped her, not just an affirmation of her talent but a release of all that had been building within her. Her fears began to untangle like threads coming apart, leaving behind a tapestry of possibility, but as her heart soared, she spotted Kevin's face falter momentarily in the crowd. Was it admiration or fear she saw there? His earlier impatience now seemed deeper, more complex. She felt a shift of energy, like the ground had cracked beneath her feet. What does this mean for us? She thought, heart racing once again. The moment had unfolded in ways she could never have anticipated, and now, new questions raced to the surface. Would her father stay? Would the music draw them closer or push them further apart? Would Kevin still believe in her dreams, or would he see this as a threat to their future? As the decibel of clapping faded into the night, Mia stood on the precipice of a decision, knowing this would be the moment that changed everything. With those thoughts tightening in her chest, she scanned the crowd again, her heart racing for what was next. Now what? She whispered to herself, bracing for the answers that might come. The journey was far from over, and she felt an electric tension stir within her, daring her to embrace the chaos, to forge ahead into the unknown. What would happen when the music faded, and the real conversations began? Mia stood alone under the stage lights, the applause still echoing in her ears, but now it felt like an uncertain lullaby, cradling her doubts. She glanced back at John, who was now standing at the edge of the stage, a proud smile on his face. But when she searched the crowd for Kevin, their eyes locked for a fleeting moment that seemed to stretch for eternity. Something unspoken passed between them, a question, a reaction that felt electric. Mia took a step back, instinctively retreating, but she quickly caught herself. This is my moment, she reminded herself firmly. The vulnerability was still low in her stomach, but she also felt that stirring courage, a sense of purpose that hadn't been there moments before. Are you okay? John approached her, his voice gentle and concerned. Yeah, her words froze. How could she explain what she felt? This was more than a performance, it felt monumental. I don't know what happens next. John nodded, understanding twinkling in his eyes. You were incredible. And now, it's time to face whatever comes next. You can't run from it. Mia swallowed hard. She didn't want to face it. Not yet. What if everything changes? Change can be good, he replied softly. But you have to be willing to step into it. Just as she was about to respond, Kevin pushed through the crowd, his eyes wide and intent, but guilt flashed across his face as he approached. Mia, he began, and instantly, her heart raced. The weight of their unspoken truths loomed over them like storm clouds. She softened as she remembered their moments together. It felt so sacred, but now it was tangled like a melody stuck in her throat. What did you think? Your voice. He took a deep breath, his voice trembling slightly. It's beautiful. Powerful. I didn't realize. Mia felt a surge of hope, but it was chased quickly by a wave of anxiety. What do you want from me, Kevin? Kevin stepped forward, closing the distance. I want to understand. I thought I could handle it all, but seeing you up there, it changes everything. Does it scare you? She asked, her vulnerability spilling out as recklessly as her song had. Maybe, he said, his voice dropping. But that's not a bad thing. It's just different. Mia's emotions were a chaotic symphony. I just want us to be okay. Then let us talk. His voice was low and steady, anchoring her in place. Above them, the crowd was slowly dispersing, the energy peaking like a crowd ready for an encore. As the atmosphere shifted around them, Mia realized she couldn't run from any of this anymore. She could almost feel her heart echoing the melody she'd sung, a song bursting with raw emotions ready to be explored. Let us find a quieter place, she suggested, trying to gain the courage to move forward. They made their way backstage, the clinking of equipment and echoes of laughter fading behind them. As they slipped into a side room, a hush enveloped them. Mia could feel the weight of their shared silence, filled with unspoken fears. What is going to happen now? She whispered, more to herself than to him. Before he could answer, the door swung open, and they were confronted by her father, a look of shock plastered across his face, his eyes darting between Mia and Kevin. She had forgotten he was even there, lost in the moment of her own performance. The worry he had always worn vanished as he took in the vibrant presence of his daughter, illuminated by the aftermath of her music. Mia? He stepped forward, his voice a mix of confusion and awe. Dad, she started, but the moment was heavy, like the final note of her song lingering in the air. The silence grew, Mia's world spun. They had been dancing around each other for years, and now the reality of their confrontation was unavoidable. Are you still going to walk away? Kevin's question lingered in the air, challenging her to confront not just her father but all the pieces of her past. Mia took a deep breath, caught between shadows and light, feeling the pull toward both family and her own dreams. The stage had been her escape, but now, it felt like a reckoning was upon them. What would she choose? Would this be the healing moment she had long sought, or would it send them all spiraling into a storm? In that suspended moment, as voices swirled around her, Mia felt the walls closing in, her heart pounding loud beneath the weight of possibility. Would she find the courage to bridge the gap? Mia's heart raced as she stood there, frozen between two worlds. Her father's eyes bore into her, searching for understanding, while Kevin's presence felt like a lifeline, yet also a storm brewing at the edge of everything she knew. Dad, I can explain, she stammered, uncertain of how to articulate years of silence and longing, of her passion and pain. Explain what, Mia? He asked, his voice taut with confusion. That I didn't know you were talented? That I didn't realize you had left for so long? His tone was sharp, but beneath it lay a hint of worry, a father's fear of losing his daughter to the unknown. I didn't want to disappoint you. The words burst out of her, raw and unfiltered. The weight of their history hung heavy in the air, memories echoing of long nights spent singing to fill the silence between them. Her father looked taken aback. Disappointed? You don't think I'd be proud of you? Mia's cheeks flushed with frustration and uncertainty. Proud? Is that all it takes? You've been gone, Dad. How can I just ignore that? Kevin watched, a silent observer caught in this emotional tempest. He felt the hurt between them, the unresolved tension that had simmered too long. Maybe we should talk about the past, all of it, he suggested gently, sensing the heaviness of the moment. But Mia, you should know this is a conversation you need to have with your dad too. Not just with me. Mia nodded, grateful for Kevin's steady voice, but part of her wanted to hide. To bury the past, the misunderstandings, the expectations. But the truth was unfolding, and she had no choice but to confront it. I've grown, Dad. I'm not the little girl who needed your approval for everything, she admitted, her voice shaking slightly but gaining strength. My singing it became my escape when you were gone. It meant freedom to me. Her father's expression softened, a flicker of understanding breaking through his shock. I see that now, he said, almost to himself. But do you really believe I wanted to leave? And there it was, the silent plea transcending all the noise. Mia felt a small ignition of hope as she read the vulnerability in his eyes. It felt like it sometimes. And when you came back, it was like I didn't recognize you, didn't know how to reach you, she confessed, on the verge of tears. Mia, I know I've made mistakes. But I've missed you every day since I left. His voice cracked, revealing layers of regret she had never seen before. I thought being away would give you a better life, but I was wrong. Mia processed the enormity of his words, the realization that maybe they were both survivors in this, navigating the chaos of life in different ways. I've wanted to reconnect for so long, but it felt impossible, she said softly, a tear escaping to draw a path down her cheek. I just thought you'd never understand. Help me understand then. Help me catch up with who you are now, he implored, taking a tentative step closer. The doorframe felt like a threshold, one foot stepping into the past and the other into the uncertain future. Swallowed by emotions, Mia looked over at Kevin, who offered her an encouraging nod, urging her forward. The warmth of his presence reminded her of the strength she had cultivated within herself, the courage she thought she lacked. Together? She whispered, her eyes darting back to her father. Can we do this together? Her father's face lit up with hope. I want nothing more, he said, his voice steadier now. Mia felt the walls begin to crumble a bit. Then let us start with music. I need to show you what it means to me, she urged, the excitement bubbling up alongside her fear. And I want to hear it, he replied with a newfound determination. But as she turned to lead him into her world, a shadow flickered across her mind. Would this honesty heal them, or would it reveal further fractures they weren't ready to face? And as they stepped out together, Mia felt the uncertainty creep back in. Could her voice bridge the gaps of years spent apart, or would it open wounds they both had tried to ignore? In that moment, she knew the journey was just beginning, and the next note might be the most important one yet. What if the melody they created together could change everything? As Mia walked beside her father, the air around them felt electric, thick with unspoken words and buried emotions. She led him towards the modest stage in the school auditorium, a place that had become her sanctuary. It was here that she discovered herself, surrounded by the very music that had filled the void in their shared past. Kevin trailed behind them, his heart pounding at the enormity of what was unfolding. He could sense how monumental this moment was for both Mia and her dad. Glancing back, he saw the uncertainty on Mia's face. They were stepping into a world that could either bind them together or fracture their already fragile bonds. As they reached the stage, Mia paused. The lights dimmed, casting a soft glow that highlighted the dust particles swirling in the air. A hush fell over the audience, gathered friends, teachers, a few curious onlookers. All eyes were on her. "Are you ready?" her father asked, breaking the silence that felt charged with emotion. Mia inhaled deeply, the familiar scent of polished wood and warm stage lights flooding her senses. "It's now or never," she murmured, and with a small nod, they both stepped into the spotlight. She turned to her father, a nervous tremor in her voice. "This song, it's about coming home," she said, her fingers trembling against the microphone. "I want you to hear what I've been feeling all these years." As the music began, Mia closed her eyes and let the first notes wash over her. The melody tugged at her heart, a blend of hope and heartache, capturing the essence of everything they were trying to rebuild. Each line she sang was woven with memories, the laughter, the longing, and the void left in her father's absence. At first, her voice quivered, unsure and hesitant. But as she poured her soul into the lyrics, something shifted. It transformed, blossoming into a powerful, haunting melody that drifted through the hall like a whisper of the past. Mia opened her eyes and caught her father's gaze. It was filled with awe and understanding, an expression that told her he was finally seeing the girl who had fought through the silence. Beside her, Kevin felt the emotion in the room swell, every note resonating with a longing shared by everyone who had ever been left behind. He watched Mia lose herself in the music, a radiant light breaking through the clouds of their complicated history. As she reached the chorus, the audience leaned in, captivated by the raw vulnerability that poured from her heart. The world around her faded, leaving only the notes that bridged the gulf between her and her father. Each word she sang seemed to peel away the layers of resentment, fear, and regret that had built up for too long. When the final note lingered in the air, the auditorium erupted in applause. Mia's breath hitched as she faced her father, tears clouding her vision. She had given him a piece of her soul, and it felt like a crack had formed in the wall that had stood between them for years. "Mia," he whispered, his voice breaking. "That was stunning." "I had no idea," but before he could finish, a sudden chill swept through the auditorium. A man from the audience stood up, his face twisted with anger. "You think singing can erase the years? Can fix everything?" His voice was sharp, slicing through the warmth of the moment. Mia's heart dropped. The shadow of doubt loomed again. Would this reaction, this harsh reality, tear apart the fragile connection she had just begun to rebuild? As murmurs filled the room and uncertainty crept back into her heart, Mia looked at her father, searching for strength in his eyes. Could they really face everything together? Or was this just another performance of hope that would fade like smoke? The silence that followed was deafening, and Mia knew they stood on the brink of something monumental. Which path would they choose? As she took a deep breath, a second chance hung in the air, waiting for them to decide. Mia's heart raced, a cacophony of emotions swirling within her. The applause that had once felt like a warm embrace turned cold and distant. She opened her mouth, ready to respond, but words slipped away like sand through her fingers. How could she explain a lifetime of hurt? How could she make him understand that sometimes, music was all they had? Her father's eyes wide and searching made her feel small, yet fierce. He shifted his weight, sensing the tension in the air. Mia could see the gears turning in his mind, the regret and confusion battling for dominance. "Mia, don't listen to him." Kevin stepped forward, his voice strong and steady. "You've put your heart out there. That means something." But the angry voice from the audience rang out again. "What changes just because she has a voice? You think you can just sing everything away?" The disruptive man's words were like icy water on a flame, washing away the warmth they had just created. Mia felt a surge of adrenaline. She squeezed her eyes shut for a second, searching for her center. Music had always been her lifeline, a whisper in dark times. It had drawn her father back, and now, it seemed, it was also creating a new chasm between them. "Maybe it's not about singing," she said, her voice quivering but rising in strength. It's about showing you just how much I've needed you, how much I still need you." Gasps rippled through the audience, and she pressed on, drawing in deep breaths. Each sound was a step she had to take, a bridge she dared to cross. Music is my way of telling you what's in here. Mia pointed to her heart, fearlessly laying bare the vulnerability she had hidden for too long. Her father's lips parted, but no words emerged. The room was heavy with anticipation. The angry man looked unmoved, arms crossed defiantly, but he seemed a little smaller to Mia now. She could sense the people around her shifting, their gazes softening. Captured by the intensity unfolding, they leaned into the moment, their own hearts taking a chance on hope. Mia turned back to her father, meeting his gaze head-on. "We can't erase the past, but we can face it. I'm scared that the years are too long and the hurt too deep. But I'm here. Then let me be here too." Her father's voice was low, filled with a tenderness that broke through the layers of anger and pain. "Let us find a way together." The words hung in the air, a fragile boon rattling against the harshness that had taken over moments ago. The audience, wrapped in the shared weight of the moment, erupted into applause again, but it felt different this time. It was tentative, filled with the promise of reconciliation rather than the end of a performance. Mia wiped her tears, feeling a tight knot of hope forming in her chest. Could they really start over? With a deep breath, she gestured to the microphone. "Can we try one more time? Together?" There was a vulnerability in her request, an invitation to join her in healing. Kevin stepped up beside her, face serious yet filled with determination. "Let us make this a duet. You're not alone." Mia's heart swelled. She turned back to her father, who stood beside them, a flicker of uncertainty playing across his features. But beneath that uncertainty was something deeper, a flicker of hope, perhaps. The audience and the moment held its breath as they prepared for their second chance. As Mia took a deep breath, ready to share something new, a question lingered. Could music truly mend the long-standing rifts among them? Would they find the harmony they so desperately sought? With a gentle strum of the guitar, they began again, the air electric with possibility. The past awaited in silence as they forged ahead, taking the first steps towards their uncertain future together. Mia's fingers brushed the microphone, feeling that familiar rush of emotions swell within her. With John next to her, the spotlight seemed brighter, welcoming them both into its warmth. Kevin stood by her side, anchoring her with his presence and support. Taking a deep breath, Mia locked eyes with her father, who mirrored her anxiousness but also a glimmer of hope. "This song is called Bridge. It's about crossing the gaps between us no matter how difficult it may seem." She felt a moment of stillness, the essence of their journey swirling around them. The introduction started softly, Mia's voice weaving through the air as she sang. John watched her, his heart soaring with pride. She was a force, a spirit that had endured the difficulties of their past and now illuminated the path forward. Each note seemed to pull the years of silence away, exposing the raw feelings and unexpressed words they had tucked into the corners of their hearts. As the song developed, she felt John's hand brush against hers, a simple act, yet it sent shivers through her. A connection ignited, revitalizing the past in ways she hadn't thought possible. The melody surged, intricate and layered, epitomizing the complexity of relationships just like theirs. John joined in, his voice blending with hers, and it was as though the years fell away, replaced with the raw sound of a family rediscovering one another. The audience fell silent, enraptured, but all Mia could feel was the pulse of hope, a promise that this time, they would fight to be together. As they sang, Mia unveiled the fears that had haunted her away from the stage. "I've been scared to reach out to you, terrified to grab hold of my dreams." Her voice quivered but rang strong. "I thought our history would rip us apart." John harmonized with her, matching her vulnerability with sincerity, "But I've been just as lost, waiting to find my footing again." Tears pooled in Mia's eyes, a blend of joy and heartache, as the layers of her life unfurled in front of those gathered. The song echoed through the hall, not merely words, but a lived experience carved into melody. She could feel the audience lean in, their breath caught in suspense, sharing the intimate emotions of her journey. As the final chorus built, Mia felt a profound assurance wash over her. Instead of retreating back into fear, they had chosen to share their truth. This was more than a song, this was reconciliation, a pledge to embrace whatever came next. The last notes hung in the air, quivering until Mia and John, side by side, held them together with unwavering strength. The audience erupted into applause, but all Mia heard was the soft thrum of her own heart, resonating with newfound courage. As the cheers faded, she locked her gaze on her father. "Thank you for joining me on this," she whispered, feeling a warmth spreading between them, a bond rekindled. "I am so proud of you, Mia," John said, his voice thick with emotion. "I want to be part of your journey, every step of the way." In that moment, the weight of their years apart lightened, revealing paths they could forge together. "You can count on me, Dad." "I want to know you really know you," she replied, determination shining through her words. Kevin stepped removed from the moment, giving them space, witnessing the revival of connection. "Whatever happens next, remember that I'll stand by your side," he said gently. As they embraced, Mia closed her eyes, filled with hope and purpose. They would navigate the complexities of their new relationship, but now they wouldn't have to do it alone. The journey was just beginning, and with each note of their shared song, they crafted their future, note by note. As the curtain slowly drew, Mia let herself smile, a grin that illuminated her face and brightened even the darkest corners of their story. This was the turning page, the moment where hope triumphed over despair. The melody rang true, a reflection of all that had been lost, regained, and realized, each heartbeat intertwined with the beautiful possibility of tomorrow, and as the applause faded, Mia turned toward the future, ready for whatever life might offer next, confident that this time she would face it together stronger than ever. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it makes a difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. True fans know how important it is.